great.
Like
All right, no, you said it already, but you gotta. Now that we're official, you got to explain the Rumble Pony.
These are the Rumble Ponies exclusive alternate jersey for this upcoming season, which I'm incredibly confident will happen. And I saw that they were putting some up for sale early, so I texted friends and I said, "You have to save number 21 for me, whatever you do." And then sure enough, we got on the website yesterday and it went by number 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24. So I was like, yes. But
so why 21? Why is 21 your number?
21 has forever been my number for everything because it is my birth date minus my birth month. And growing up, I always wanted number 8 for Steve Young.
Yep.
And I could never get it for whatever reason. So this was always my backup number, and then it just became my forever number. So
okay, I like it.
And I think 29 is an ugly number, so I went with 21.
29 is a very ugly number. I will give you that. Yeah, I always went with 11. I like the symmetry of it. It just makes sense. I like that it's a prime number. I like it for many different reasons.
We'll take 11's good. 11's decent. 21, especially growing up, Deion Sanders. Like I feel like the best player on the team always wore 21. Maybe I just talked myself into believing that. I have nothing to really back it up, but up here it works, man.
That's it. All right, let's do this. Let's start off with we talked a lot last week about kind of current events and things like that. Coming out of this, slowly coming out. Looks like we might be about a week away from kind of I can't stand this term opening. Can we just stop using the term opening the economy? Can we just please stop using that? There is a lot of economy out there. I understand a lot of people took an Ivan Drago right hand to the chin. I get all of that, but I mean, there's still business to be had out there. I mean, what do you think about the term and people that people using that term?
I hate it. I hate the whole COVID dictionary of the same 13 words you just hear over and over. They start to sound like they're not even real words after a while. I don't really care what we call it, what language we speak. As long as we can just start living life again, I'm going to be happy, man.
Yeah. Well,
it's weird. I've been talking to a lot of people. It seems like a lot of people this week have just decided that quarantine's over and like they're just going to go back to being normal. It's weird. Like a lot of people that I've talked to, they're just like, I'm just not doing it anymore. I'm like, I don't really think that's how it works, brother, but whatever.
How do you think the majority of people are transitioning? And I guess my second question to that would be, how many people do you think are enjoying working from home? And do you think the normal employer will give that option to people to work from home if they're more comfortable and productive in their own space?
I think that people are getting used to it. I think people just are craving social interaction more than anything right now. But I think, at the very least, it's gotta have highlighted just areas where you could just improve efficiency, even if it's, going down to a 3 or a 4 day in office work week. And then, having a couple of work from home days there, it's not hard to see just economically, how that makes a lot of sense for people. And then, just what it's going to do, especially, being in a smaller town like here or even, more CNY, the hiring pool that it's going to open up, not having to hire people that are within commuting distance. I think it's going to change a lot. I think that everybody's first reaction is just going to be to get back to normal and be around people and be in the office. But I think towards the end of this year, you're going to see a lot of people planning for 2021 that I think it's going to look a lot different with working from home and all of that stuff.
I think I agree with you. I think the people that need to be nervous are the people that own the business, the buildings of where these offices are held. I mean, that if I were a developer, I guess is the term. If I was a developer, I mean, I'd be really nervous about who's coming back and, getting rents slashed in half because I only need 300 offices instead of 600 offices because half of my people work from home and they're being extremely productive and they love being at home and they don't want to be, part of the office. I think there's got to be a segment of the population. I'd love to see a study done on this. There's got to be a segment of the population that always kind of had that social anxiety going out anyway. There's going to be people that hated going to the office, hated going to the store, hated going to even a movie theater or the Carrier Dome to watch a game or the Rumble Ponies game where they can sit home. Now they have these options to sit at home, put on their speaker, put on their great system, and watch the Rumble Ponies game from home and be able to text in and say, okay, hey, if the Rumble Ponies have the best popcorn in all of minor league baseball, I would do a delivery service of popcorn in a 20-mile radius around the stadium, where you have 10 runners that are going out saying, okay, Rumble Ponies have the best hot dogs and the best popcorn in baseball. I'm going to sit at home and watch it. I'll pay $5 for a ticket to get access to the video feed, and then you can hit me over the head with $15 worth of concessions. Like, that is a real business model moving forward.
Oh yeah, I think that just the one thing that this has forced a lot of people to see is just that, you know, you can have success with business models that are different than the one you've been using for 58 years, you know? So it's going to be cool to see. I think it could go any number of ways, you know? I don't know if it's going to be, you know, I think that the first kind of reaction will just be to kind of go back to normal, just to kind of let people taste that again. But then you're right. It's going to be 4 or 5 months from now, and people are going to be like, why are we doing this? Why am I writing a $6,000 rent check every month when literally all of these guys just showed me they could do this from home?
Exactly. Have you had any awkwardness? Because I will tell you, I have. Have you had any awkwardness when you've come face to face with somebody and actually had a real conversation in front of somebody?
Every person I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know what to do or what not to do. I feel like I've just been, because everybody, even from the beginning, everybody has been at such different levels of how, I don't want to say how serious they're taking this, but how fearful they are, or how casual they are with the whole, you know, mask wearing or social distancing and stuff like that. And then especially for us, just some of the, you know, personal stuff that we've gone through over the last 2 weeks. A lot of people are coming up and hugging you, and like, I don't really care. Like, personally, like, you know, I'm kind of over it, but I feel like I always guess wrong. I feel like if somebody is feeling like fuck it, like, we're just going to be normal for a second, I pull back. And then when I think that they're just going to go in for the normal hug, they're like, ooh. So I've been incredibly awkward around other people. I have no clue what to do.
It's almost going to be a situation where you're going to have to ask what the other person is comfortable with before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've actually thought about that, because you and I are the bro huggers. I mean, we are from way back. That's just how we communicate, you know, face to face, and that's how we start and end conversations. But it's going to come to a point where you're going to be out on the lake or something. And you're going to walk up to somebody and be like, "Is this okay?"
Mm-hmm.
And think of how awkward that statement is asking somebody if it's okay. And there's going to be a scenario where somebody's going to say, "No, I'm not." You know, it's like, "No, I'm good." You know, "Hi." You know, I had somebody here looking at something in my driveway yesterday, and very pleasant people, but they came up, and my first reaction was, "Hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "Oh, like, that got weird." But you know what I found was, I verbalized. It's like everything to reduce stress and anxiety. When you verbalize it, everybody's walls just kind of come down. So, like, when I literally did that, I went to extend my hand as we're all wearing masks. I went to extend my hand, and I was like, "Oh, great to be up." I'm like, well, that made it awkward, didn't it? And everybody was just kind of like, "Oh, okay."
I kind of feel like it's going to be like dating in middle school again. Nobody's really sure what they can or can't say, or can or can't do, or can or can't, like, anything. So I don't know. I think you just have to have as much fun with it as you can. Like, that's pretty much, I think, the game. Like, what are we doing? And I'll literally stand there like this, like I'm robbing a bank or something. And then you just kind of let people decide, you know? And I think that, like, I know I'm guilty of just being like the eternal optimist on all this, but I really think, you know, we hit phase 1, and I think phase 2, from what I just have read, is going to be much more normal life. But I think once we get into that and a couple of weeks go by, and, you know, knock on wood, the world doesn't catch fire, I think then it's going to go back to pretty normal pretty quick.
It's you just named the stream, by the way. How is the current situation like dating in middle school? So there you go. Mark that down. Perfect.
That's literally what it feels like. We were joking about it last night.
How much do you think, like, I've told this story before, is Friday nights are really fun for me. I'm working on this project in Skinny Atlas, and we're putting musicians on Twitch, and it's been such one of the most rewarding things I think I've ever worked on in my career. Just giving somebody a tool and giving them the knowledge and showing them how to kind of express themselves on a different platform. So Friday nights have become really fun for me, and just watching Twitch streams, and opening up a bottle of wine and sitting on my own couch and feeling comfortable. How much do you think, and the other example I will give is, I forget what the name of the movie was. It was an animated movie that just came out about 3 weeks ago. It didn't hit the theaters. It went directly to Netflix, and it did $120 million in its first weekend.
Yep.
So, I mean, are we seeing the decimation of of traditional movies? Are we seeing the decimation of traditional concerts? Or is it going to come back in phases, kind of like with the reopening of the economy? Again, can't stand that. But I guess my question is, how much are people's day-by-day lives going to carry over after this with their habits of how they consume stuff?
I think it's going to change a lot. I think for me, just like one guy's opinion, I think the big thing is going to be like how much of a social aspect existed with it before. Like the movie thing makes perfect sense to me, because even if you go with friends or whoever, you pretty much go there and then are literally instructed to sit in the dark and not talk to them, or not, like, you know what I mean? So like the movie thing makes a lot of sense. Concerts are much more kind of a social experience. You go with people and you enjoy it. Like, it's something that being there, I think, makes a big difference. But I think that there's going to be huge disruptions in the other stuff. Like movies, like I'll be shocked if movie theaters in 2021 aren't Blockbuster in 2000.
Right.
That's just, there's literally such little reason to go pay your $10 to sit in a dark room and not talk to anybody when you could just do it at home. You know what I mean? Look at like terrestrial TV. You've seen the same thing, right? Like I think there's going to be huge disruption there, and like everything else too. Anything like that where we just haven't questioned the necessity of it. Like you're questioning everything now. So I think there's going to be huge changes.
I agree. Pam, Kevin, Eric, as always, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. So our buddy Kevin says one challenge. Let's see. He said one challenge he thinks no one has is that they're thinking about are the effects on redeveloping business models for small medical and dental practices. How I would kind of categorize that is, Kevin, I would say all small businesses. Because when we talk about individual businesses, whether we talk about restaurants and bars and breweries and things like that, because that's what you and I are into, and I think we've kind of beat that to death. I think when you look at traditional small businesses, I would put medical, I would put clothing stores, I would put whatever retail you're into. Here's if you don't, Kevin, here's the answer. If you don't adapt to how people are communicating and purchasing and e-commerce, you will be closed at some point. Whether it be dental, medical, retail, I don't care what you're doing. If you do not adapt, because everybody was forced into texting to order. Everybody was forced to getting their deliveries delivered, their groceries delivered. Everybody was forced off this cliff that you and I keep talking about. And if you're not there on the other end saying, yep, I got a text platform, I can deliver, I can do all those things, they're going to find a different dental office. They're going to find a different retail office. They're going to find a different clothing option. So I think with a broad brush, Kevin, is you're going to be left behind and you are absolutely going to be closed. You're going to be closing your doors at one point. I don't like saying that, but it is the stone cold truth.
Yeah, and I think the second part of Kev's question too, and that's a good one, is like dentists especially, that is going to be a tricky one to innovate your way out of. You're literally going there and like with the intent that I'm going to pay this person to put their fingers in my mouth for 30 minutes. You know what I mean? Which is quite literally the exact thing we're not supposed to be doing right now. So yeah, it's going to be I think that's the real interesting part of this. You know, everybody right now, it's very doom and gloom, and nobody's ever going to touch anybody else ever again, and all this. But you know, that's definitely a concern, and like I'd obviously would be very concerned if it impacted my business in that, you know, big of a capacity. But I think people also got short memories. You know, I think that, you know, it's easy to get hung up on that now, but you know, we get 2, 3, 4 weeks into phase 2 and phase 3, and hey, we're all okay. You know, everything can be back to normal by the 4th of July. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and it's going to be a lot of pressure in watching that and making sure that you're adjusting and you're set up to succeed in whatever exists.
Yep. Yep. Question from the chat. Basically, the gist of it is a lot of people are having problems, especially media producers, potentially having a lack of content in the can. So it sounds like, so they're struggling to create new content. My advice to anybody, Kevin, our buddy who keeps doing his daily do-overs, I mean, he's on number like 47 right now. I mean, when he does something like that and he turns the live on himself, you know, for me, the biggest unlock about this show is you and I have created a never-ending fire hose of content. If you and I ever get stuck on anything, go back to episode 3, go back to episode 1, go back to episode 8, whatever it is. If you need to write an article on LinkedIn, that's why this medium is so rich with content. We can talk faster than we can do anything else. So when you talk faster than doing anything else, you tell stories. When you tell stories, you're reflecting on what's happening in current events. So anybody that's having problems struggling with putting out content, whether you're in real estate or whether you're doing Kevin's own personal branding stuff, or you're a dentist's office. If I was a dentist, I would say, I would have a show like this and I would talk to another dentist. We would have a show, a buddy, a friend, somebody that's in the same association, saying, hey, let's come up with ideas of how we can protect our clients when they do get into our chair and they're sticking their fingers in their mouth. What are you doing so I can learn, so other people can learn, and at the same time, you're producing a fire hose of content that you can distribute across those things. This format has become a huge unlock for me because it is not just this show when it's live. People go back and watch when it's streamed afterwards. People watch it on YouTube. We're doing the podcast. We're doing all of these things so that other people can find you and you can grow your brand.
Yeah, and I think the other thing with that is people are kind of having or need to have this kind of realization of this like renaissance of what content is now. You know, for the longest time, you know, those people that don't have content in the hopper or in the can, you know, those are people that have, you know, gone and planned it out and like done whole campaigns at a time. And, you know, it's really the old school, not to be harsh, but antiquated way of looking at it, where I'm planning out what I want to do and then I'm putting it out there and shoving it in front of everybody's face, versus all of the stuff that we talk about where it's literally just showing the day-to-day of what's happening right now. And I think it's one of the best things that you could do. Like the amount of restaurants that are still using photos and videos from plates, you know, food on plates in their dining room right now saying, hey, come buy this. Like you just want to shake them. Like that's not what it looks like. Nobody's seeing that, and nothing's getting connected up here. But the people that have, you know, rebuilt their entire menu and have big family to go boxes, and that's what they're showing, you know, guess who's crushing it right now? Because they're literally going through and what's relevant right now and what people are relating to. And I think that like that's the big thing, where that's all content is. Like even this, a big part of it is just me and you walking people through what we're doing every day. And that works for everybody all the time, no matter what you're doing. Like if it was the restaurant, literally walking people through the new family to go boxes that I'm designing for this week. If it's a dentist, you know, like you said, whatever kind of new sanitation practices are in place. You know, a big thing for us, even like I was talking with you yesterday, we've changed up our new client onboarding process where we're not waiting until all this is done. We're literally letting people sign a contract for any time they want between now and the end of the year. We're knocking out the heavy lifting of planning stuff out and, you know, identifying your target demos and working on campaign ideas and all that kind of stuff, so that when whatever restrictions get lifted that they need to be able to go back to normal, we're ready to go. And then it's huge for us because people just call us and like, they're like, you're going to let me start whenever I want? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, like, what is it, like 60 days? I'm like, I don't know. It's like any time between now and the end of the year makes sense for you. And they're like, oh yeah, that would work. I'm like, great, let's do it. And it just immediately shatters that barrier of, oh, marketing guy just wants my money. You're an instant teammate. You are an instant asset. You are instantly, you know, on their side. And it's game changing.
Because you're putting the other person's values ahead of what you want. That's why you're winning. That's why you're doing those things. That's why people see value. You're putting yourselves in their shoes to say, man, I don't have much of a marketing budget right now, but I know Adam's really good at what he does, but he's giving me a what? He's giving me a 90-day stay or whatever it is, and then on board with the money. It's like, what a great dude. Mm-hmm. And those people are going to be clients for yours for a very long time because of that. I want to highlight, while we were thinking, I want to highlight 3 really awesome local examples of people that got out of their chair, realized where we are right now, and innovated to do business. The first example I will give you is a local restaurant here in Casanova. It's called Dave's Diner. It's a normal, you know, eggs and ham and coffee place in the morning, great food, reasonable prices, great lunch. He was shut down. So what did he do? He went and, I don't know if he rented or bought, but he did a food truck, and he put it right out in front of his restaurant, and he did tacos and burritos twice. So he saw Cinco de Mayo coming up on the calendar on Tuesday, and he goes, I'm going to do some of the best tacos I've ever had. I'm going to do some of the best burritos I've ever had. He worked with local officials to work 6 feet apart. They had people ushering people in. They were sanitizing everything. He sold, I think, I heard a number. I think they sold like 1,000 tacos. Don't quote me, but something like that on Tuesday alone. That's the first example. Second example I will give to you. We have a local artist who does watercolor. She does watercolors almost every single day. So she sells she sells her prints online. Yep. She saw what was happening, and then she put her art. I don't have one with me, but she figured out a way to put her artwork on a mask. Yep. So she was selling her own original artwork on a mask, which was incredible. And guess what? I have 2 prints, two full-size prints that were just delivered yesterday of her artwork. Because I saw her doing that, I didn't buy the mask, but I bought prints. The third example I will give is, I'm sure you've heard about this, the pizza freak guy from the New York State Fair. I don't know if you heard of it. So not only, he figured that nobody was doing anything. It was 100% correct. He has that little shack. It's that purple triangle shack that's at the New York State Fair, and it's like fried dough. It's like 2-foot long fried dough. So he negotiated with the town of DeWitt to put his fried dough thing up in a lot, and people lost their mind. People were waiting in cars for 6 hours to get this pizza free. So not only did he sell thousands of pizza free, he grabbed the sausage vendor and he grabbed the wine slushy guy. So they're going to be at the orange lot, the upper lot at the New York State Fair this weekend. And they're probably going to sell, I'm just guessing, $40,000 worth of product. So there are people that weren't sitting on the sidelines. They figured it out. They worked with town officials. They put their artwork on masks. And now they're creating a different revenue stream they didn't even know existed.
Yep. So that's this is the most excited I've been in 2 months. Because it finally, for the first time, feels like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. As dim as it is right now, and as not in like cemented in as it is, it feels like there's a light. There's a reason to be excited. There's a reason to start planning. And I think one of the things that I'm so excited about, and we've had a handful of people that have already gone through this and realized it, and we're going to have more, is that way of thinking and innovating and changing what you do to fit the world out there is what's going to work forever. You know what I mean? It's not just COVID stuff, and then when everything goes back to normal, as slow as it may happen, that's out the window. If you can keep doing that over and over and over again, you are going to dominate in ways that you never knew were possible. And like we're already seeing it. And it makes me like, I'm like shaking. I'm so fired up just from the calls that we had yesterday. Because like people that 6 months ago were like, I don't know. They're calling me like, hey, after this, what if we did this and then that and then this? And I'm like, you got it. Yeah. They're like, how soon can we start? I'm like, how's today? Like, it's crazy to me that I'm just really excited because these people don't even know yet. Like, this is nice right now, and it's nice that they've been able to stay in business and keep their business going and thriving in some cases, and to see how that's going to continue to work and how we'll always have this to look back on. Hey, remember when we changed this to fit the COVID quarantine? What if we change these two things to fit this? And then that's always going to make sense. So I am so fired up for these people to actually see this put in action. Like, I sent out that email yesterday to let people know about the futures deals that we're doing. And it's funny, the call you and I have on Monday didn't even email me back. I know you're smiling because it's going to make perfect sense to you. Didn't even email me back. He called me 4 minutes after I hit send. And he's like, hey, just read your email. We're doing the exact same thing for our clients. You could not be thinking any clearer. I was just going to call you next. Like, how do we do this?
Yep. Imagine that opportunity. And it doesn't need to be, if you're sitting at home and you're wondering, listen, I don't even know where to start. You don't need to create something out of nothing. No, nobody's sitting here creating something out of nothing. You just need to find somebody who was an early adopter and either reach out to them and ask them how they did it, or simply say, or go to YouTube and say, this is what I want to do. It's all right there. You think I knew how to pull apart my Jeep last weekend?
That's awesome.
No, I had no idea how to pull apart my Jeep. It's been 20 years since I've done that. I went to YouTube and I said, how to access the radio on a Jeep Wrangler JK 2015. So my wife comes out of here. She goes, you got a shaved head. She goes, you got a beard for 7 days. She goes, you're tearing apart a car. She goes, I don't even know who the hell you are during quarantine. She goes, who is this person? But I decided that was going to be my project for the day. So I sat down, I brought my iPad, I brought it outside, I grabbed Paige. I'm like, you want to help Dad with this? She's like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And we fired it up first time, and it worked. So if that's anything you want to do, somebody else, there's a 99.99999% chance that somebody else has already done it, and they put a video on YouTube showing you how to do the exact same thing.
You know what I think it is more than anything? I think that this has just made us all think more like kids. You know what I mean? Like when you're a kid and you want to do something, your brain is programmed to be like, okay, how do I do that? When you're an adult, in a lot of cases, I don't consider myself like a full-fledged adult yet, so I don't think it applies to me.
Me either, don't worry.
But when you're an adult, you're programmed to think, wait, why won't this work? Why won't I be able to do this? What could go wrong? And I think a lot of this has made a lot of people just revert to like, okay, how can I do that? Like the Pizza Free guy is a great example. There's no revolutionary idea there. Nothing. Even the diner guy. The idea, like I always say, the most successful businesses are always the most boring ideas. There's nothing fancy about it. It's just executing and realizing it. Like, oh, like renting a food truck to put it in front of your place that you can't open. There's no restaurant that doesn't make sense for. You know what I mean? And like to have the success he did, it's just crazy. But like that's like a kid move in like the nicest way. Not saying that it's like, but it's just like the more you can do that, the more success you're going to have. Because that's the other thing. There's no rules in any of this. Like we were talking, I was texting my friend and I told him about all the stuff that we're doing with our people. And he's like, can you do that? I'm like, you can do, yeah. We can, especially in our case, I can literally do, as long as it's not breaking any laws, I can literally do whatever I want. You want to sign a contract today to start on August 7th? Great. Awesome. Let's do it.
There's no playbook. That's the beautiful thing about this. I love your point about being a kid and being, wanting to discover new things. And It's the 80-20 rule. I say this all the time. Have your 80% of your energy going to paying your bills and driving to that job you don't like and doing, if that is what you want to do, that's fine. Take care of you, take care of your kids, take care of your family, take care of everything you need to take care of. But we all have that little thing over here that you need to spend 20% on. If you want to be a gamer on Twitch, if you want to be if you want to, it doesn't matter what it is. Insert whatever your fun thing is here. Whatever you're scrolling on, whatever websites that you're consuming in the evening, I bet you that's the thing that you really want to do, potentially. Spend those other hours. Spend that 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. time doing the research of how to make that the 80%. Then once you do make that flip, do it again. Or maybe it's just doubling down on that stuff. But you have to be able to, a lot of people are sitting at home on unemployment right now, and they don't know if that position that they go back to that they hated anyway is going to be there. So you're getting paid to sit home. I know it's not a lot of money. I know there's stress. I know all of that stuff. Comma, you have the time and you're still paying your bills, hopefully, to go research and go do what you want to do. What a great opportunity.
It just comes back to the whole, what are you going to do about it? Like that's just, I think all the examples that you brought up are just prime illustrations of that. Well, you can't open your diner. Oh, you're not sure if the state fair is going to, okay, that sucks for you, man. It really does. It's a shitty hand. And what are you going to do about it? You know what I mean? It's just crazy to me how simple it is sometimes. And then once you do it, it's like, oh, you can sit here and like if you have a 10-year-old kid, go ask them what they would do if they were you. I bet you they have a good idea. It's just wild. It's fun to watch. It just really is. And that's just it's always going to be the answer without question. And this is the time to figure it out. Cause you're right. It's easy for me and you to sit here. Yeah, we have annoyances. I've done more Zoom calls than I would care over the last 2 months, but outside of that, life hasn't changed a whole lot. You know what I mean? But if you were sitting there and they're like, hey, Facebook and Instagram might not be here after this, you bet your ass, I'd be working on other stuff. So that's just kind of this is such an opportunity. And I think it seems like one more person realizes it every day. You know what I mean? Where the light switch goes on, where it's oh, yep. I could play acoustic guitar on Twitch, or I could sell my paintings as cloth masks, or I can set up an adult lemonade stand and sell draft beer jugs and vodka lemonade. It's wild, dude.
It is wild, and the example I'll give, and I apologize, I got to keep this short, so we'll do last call for questions early. I apologize. Thank you, everybody. Again, it's amazing that you guys spend a little bit of time with us every week. The example I would give is Siobhan didn't know what Twitch was 6 weeks ago. She didn't know, and if she did know, she thought it was the Ninja streaming Fortnite platform. That's what she thought it was. But now when I sat her down and I said, all right, on the big screen, 5 weeks ago, I had my buddy Josh from K-Rock spinning tunes on Twitch, drinking a little whiskey, taking his shirt off, having a good time, entertaining people. So she goes, well, what do I have to do? So she texted all of her friends, all of her upstate nurse friends, and she goes, do you guys know what this Twitch thing is? And they all say, no. And she goes, what do I have to do? I said, you got to go to the App Store, download Twitch, and find K-Rock CNY. So they all went, they all linked their Amazon Prime account, and they all sent him money that night in the form of digital bits. That entire conversation took 90 seconds. And what have we done every single Friday for the last 5 Fridays? We sit down and be like, oh, Josh's dance party's coming on, 7 o'clock, let's go. And we sit down with 2 screens, and we crank the music, and the kids complain upstairs, and we have a ball because we're listening to early 90s Salt and Pepper. That is what we are doing on Friday nights now. It is so just try something new, discover something new. If you want to do that, figure out how to do something new. And then if it doesn't work, if you don't like it, like you said, there's no rule book. Guess what? Stop doing it. Go do something else. And nobody has the ability to judge you because you're trying something new.
Yep. And I think, like, for me, the one thing that it all comes back down to tactically, it's, you know, and I hate this phrase, but it's how are you creating value for people out there? Like, the one thing this has showed you in the millions of dollars that all of the car manufacturers have wasted on running the same commercial on TV, where it's just so tone deaf. Hey, we're all in this together. These times are uncertain. In this time of uncertainty, we want you to know that we're still here for you. Da, 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 da. By the way, we're still open. Give us $20,000 for this new Camry. Like, you know what I mean? Those people, nothing's happening because they're not listening to what's happening out there. You know what I mean? But the people who are, and I think this is a great business, branding, whatever you want to call it, lesson. It's not about you. It's about them and what's happening in the world out there. And the more that you can make yourself a part of that and then figure out how you fit in, you don't have to worry about selling because they start coming to you. And I think you're just seeing that because this is the most compassionate time I think that we've ever seen in a long time. And the people that have that level of compassion and empathy and understanding are crushing, and the other people are literally dying.
If you don't think what you're doing is interesting, you haven't spent enough time talking about what you feel is cool. And I'll give you an example, and I do have to close on this. Here's the example. You know, I'm working with that group in Skinny Atlas. We are doing some serious cutting edge stuff when it comes to marketing and branding and finding people and getting awareness. I literally had a conversation with Lee this week. We were texting back and forth Wednesday night. He sent me a stream on Facebook, and I opened it up. It was two women on a table with a big, huge, like chart, like graph, almost looked like graph paper. And they had pieces of felt, and they were doing this, and they were talking, and they were laughing, and they were having a good time. It was a quilting channel on Facebook that had almost 100 people watching. He texted me, he goes, "Do you think quilting on Twitch would work?" And I said, "Why not? Why wouldn't quilting on Twitch work?" They found enough people to hold an audience of 85 people, whatever the number was, for 20 minutes. I sat there and watched quilting for 20 minutes. Or cooking, or painting, or photography, or real estate, or this, or this. You just need to talk more because the audience is out there. You just have to go find them. We were literally discussing potentially signing a quilt artist to put on one of our Twitch channels. Can you imagine? I never would have thought that 5 weeks or 5 months ago. It never would have crossed my mind.
It's just a matter of depth, man. The more deeply people care about something, the more they're ultimately going to spend money on it. Straight up. You could have a Lego building channel on Twitch. You'd have fucking 1 million people.
That is a great idea, actually. Putting together the Death Star of Legos.
You could have that idea for free. Yeah, I mean, literally anything. People, like, we all have those like 2 or 3 things that are like weird to us that we just genuinely deeply care about. And like the more that you can find that, like monetizing that's easy. Like it's just the world that exists, man.
Go find it. Go talk about it. The other people will find you. That's the bottom line for me.
100%.
I got to roll. I can't even talk about this project that I'm working on with my Zoom call at 1 o'clock. But if we're able to pull it off, and I think we are, it is going to be a game changer for a part of the population that I am so excited about, and I have to be vague right now, but if we pull it off, it's going to be a case study for you and I to talk about finding the undervalued, valued attention, especially in these times, and then carrying it forward. I am so pumped about this call at 1 o'clock. I have to be vague. I apologize, but I can't wait to bring it to the masses.
This has been teasing episode 14, by the way, guys. See you next week.
Cheers, everybody. Thanks for joining.
See you guys.